Another episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And admittedly, after being disappointed with last week's episode, I was hoping that tonight would get me back into it. And surprisingly, it did. This was episode 20 of season 1, entitled Nothing Personal. It started off with Maria Hill. Surprise, surprise. We see her on the phone. She's walking on the street and she feels like she's being followed, but it seems like it's from people that she's working for because she seems used to this, until all of a sudden people start getting knocked out. And apparently she was on the phone with Pepper Potts, Gwyneth Paltrow, which is pretty cool. And then Melinda May shows up and she wants answers. So, like, she wants to know who was in charge of the Tahiti project that is what did this to Coulson. Now, I was surprised that it wasn't Maria Hill herself. I figured she would be the one that Fury would trust to be behind this project, but I guess not. Then we see that Fitz, Coulson, and Simmons, and Agent Triplet, they arrive back to the base, and they see on the security cams that not only did Melinda May leave, but Ward and Skye left. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. Fitz finds Skye's message that Ward is Hydra. And now they're all in disbelief. So the next scene, we see Simmons examining Patton Oswalt's body because they found it dead. And she's examining it. She's trying to figure out how did he die, who could have done this act. And she deciphers that it had to be Ward. And Fitz's reaction to that was great. He was just filled with anger, disbelief, probably the best acting that the actor who plays Fitz has displayed on the show. I loved it. I wish we got a little bit more reaction out of Coulson, because as close as Coulson was to Ward, I figured this would have been a big blow to him, but I get it. So much is going on. They can't waste too much time with it, because then Colonel Talbot shows up with a bunch of military soldiers, and they found the S.H.I.E.L.D. base. Coulson's trying to figure out how this happened. In fact, there's a funny scene, funny moment where they have Coulson, or the whole team, they have him at gunpoint, and Coulson's saying, look, if I come out, will you shoot? Because I won't come out. I don't know. Clark Gregg, his delivery of that was great. Now, just then, Maria Hill reveals herself, that she was the one that told Talbot where this base was. And then Coulson explains to her that Ward is Hydra, which she had no idea about, especially because Hill was the one that recruited Ward for the team. Ouch. To say she was surprised is an understatement. So just then she realizes the gravity of the situation, that Ward has Skye and Garrett's still alive. So she, which was an awesome moment, she helps Coulson. She takes out the soldiers, and then the team goes back out there. We see Skye with Ward. We see them go to the diner. That was in the pilot episode where Skye met Mike Pearson. And Skye is clearly wasting time, and Ward hasn't really figured that out yet until some cops start showing up, surround the place. She shows Ward that she has in fact tipped the cops off. They come in, and Ward starts taking the cops out, and Skye uses that to try to escape. I even really enjoyed when she went up to the cops and she said, take me in, I'm a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. She even pushed the cop to try to get him to arrest her. And then Ward comes up from behind, kills the two cops. She jumps into the cop car, drives off, and I'm like, okay, what's going to go on here? All of a sudden, Mike Peterson, or I should probably say Deathlock, shows up, jumps on top of the cop car, puts his hand through the windshield and grabs her, and then it went to commercial. I was like, holy fuck, my jaw was almost on the ground. Like, not only was that awesome, but talk about a cliffhanger to end a segment. Deathlock is with Ward, and they have Skye captured. Deathlock reveals that Garrett put him in charge of shadowing Ward because he knew that Ward had too many emotions in this and that he had to be monitored. And I really enjoyed Skye's performance here. She just unloaded all of her anger onto Ward. She was just like, how could you do this? You've been lying this whole time. She can't believe that he's capable of all that. She doesn't know the real him. And Ward almost begs, not for forgiveness, but he begs for her to understand his point of view, where he's coming from, that yeah, maybe all of this was a lie, but his feelings for Skye wasn't a lie. Then Deathlock comes in and he's sick of the whole waiting on Skye to give up the information that they want. So he does something I didn't expect. He shoots Ward with some type of weapon. It hits his heart and it gives him a heart attack. He's dying. And I don't know how much I buy that Skye. I mean, I get what they were going for. Skye's not a murderer. So they assume that Skye wouldn't let Ward die right then and there. But even she was saying to herself, he's a murderer. He's done all this stuff. Do I really care to see him die right now? But she stops it. She gives them the information that they want. Saves Ward's life. It's just, I guess I resisted that because Deathlock was playing it like, oh yeah, Ward is a murderer, but are you a murderer? And I'm like, well, if Skye... I don't know if I'd call Skye a murderer if she let Ward die. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's just too much of a gray area. Now, Agent Hill shows up, and she's cornering Ward before he takes off. And she's telling him, look, we can engage right now, or you can give up. And Ward, being the smart guy that he is, knowing that they wouldn't take down a plane with Skye on it, he calls their bluff. But I like how it wasn't the bad guys always getting the upper hand. It was a plan that Hill was buying them time for Coulson to come onto the plane. I thought that was cool. Now, speaking of cool, when Coulson gets on the plane to save Skye, I love how she asked him, how did you, like, you came on by yourself, how did you take out Deathlock? And Coulson's like, Deathlock? Deathlock is on this plane? Like, he had this sort of panic reaction of, oh, I did not know that was going to happen. And then you see Deathlock walking towards them, and Coulson's like, new plan, run! So then they're running. They get onto Lola, the car, and I love this. This is probably my favorite part of the episode, where they just fly out of the plane. And we know that Lola can fly ever since the second episode, and I think there was another episode where we saw the car sort of hover. But this is the first time where we actually got to see what the car can do in a dire situation, and I loved it. There was a lot of intensity to it, and then the moment where they just barely land on the ground, and the guy, the parking attendant, he just goes up to them. He didn't even notice that they, like, landed. He goes up to them and he says, yeah, that'll be $20. And Coulson reaches into his pocket, and I don't know, that played really well for me. I like that. Hill again tells Coulson that there's no shield, and I like Coulson's reaction because it's almost like he can't fathom what that would be like. He goes, yeah, maybe officially, but we'll still do what we do. And Hill's trying to tell him, look, when this is all over, you might want to go separate ways. And again, Coulson's not trying to hear that. When Hill tells Coulson, look, Stark will take you, you know that, I instantly thought, well, Stark and all the Avengers think that Coulson is dead. So I don't really know how much sense that would make for him to go to Stark looking for a job. And then even Coulson says, say hello to Stark for me. Oh yeah, he thinks I'm dead. So I'm at least glad that they addressed that, but I don't know, it's like between Talbot and any other military guy and just people who have seen Coulson around, it's surprising that no one has found out that Coulson is alive. Now, I like this moment where Fitz and Simmons, they talk, they're by the pool, and Fitz wants to hear Simmons say that she's not Hydra. Again, I like Fitz's reaction to Ward being Hydra, that he's so just, he doesn't know how to take it. And even though he probably trusts Simmons more than anyone, he just needs that reassurance. She gives it to him, and Fitz says, well, of course I'm not Hydra. And she's like, I know. Just, I like the moment between them. And I like how she put her hand on his knee and just kind of gave him some comfort. I don't know if these two will ever hook up. I'm almost past the point of waiting for that to happen because it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. The very last scene was really interesting. Melinda May comes back, and which was cool because she had her moments throughout the episode. Like, we even see her dig up Coulson's grave and she finds something in there. Now, again, now Coulson's grave is dug up out in the open. I'm sure nothing will come of that, though. And May shows Coulson, I guess, more information about the Tahiti project and who was behind it. It's a video report, and we see Coulson himself. And the details that Coulson was saying about the Tahiti project, about how dangerous it was, how the test subject that they've tried this on, the whole resurrection thing, have all failed. And there's been so many drastic, just bad things happening, deterioration, that it made me a little worried for Coulson and what could happen with him. And also Coulson's reaction, seeing that he was the one behind this project. I mean, the only thing he said after the video was, huh, which I thought was funny, but again, that was surprising, that Coulson himself was the guy involved in this. I really enjoyed this episode. I did. After last week and being disappointed by the cellist and just blackout, and I didn't care for any of that, this got back to what I've been digging about what's been going on. Ward, Coulson finding out more about him, and just them being out on the run. I love Maria Hill being more involved here. Hopefully she sticks around now that How I Met Your Mother is over, and maybe Kobe Smulders can stay on the show. That'd be awesome. But yeah, we have, 2 episodes left? Man, very much looking forward to the season finale. Let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D? Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Later!